Okay, cool. Well, howdy, my name is Emma Douglas, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm doing a speech for my Speech 1315 credit, which I do online, and it requires an audience of 10 people, which we have exactly 10 people, which is great. Okay, so today I am going to be talking about, it's more of a persuasive speech. I'm going to be talking about the benefits of handwriting and cursive handwriting specifically. A common argument in schools today is whether or not elementary students should be taught handwriting or typing, and if they should be taught cursive handwriting, if they are taught handwriting. Currently, 41% of elementary schools don't teach cursive handwriting, and 41 states don't even require basic handwriting instruction anymore. They're mainly focusing on keyboard typing for their students. And my argument today is that teaching handwriting is educationally beneficial, teaching cursive handwriting specifically is educationally beneficial, and lastly, cursive education is very beneficial for those with learning disorders. To start off with, I'm going to talk about a couple different studies today. The first one is by Dr. Karen James. You're fine. And she is a psychologist at Indiana University who led a 2012 study into how handwriting impacts child development. In her research, she had children who had not yet learned to read or write. She had them either trace the letters, draw the letters freestyle, or just type the letters. And of the students, they later did a brain scan and showed the picture of the letter. And the kids who wrote freehand, they had significantly more brain activity, and it was brain activity exactly similar to that of adults who can read and write. The students who just traced it or typed it didn't recognize the letter at all, had no brain activity. And the implication is that drawing free-form writing requires one to first plan and then execute in a way that is not required in those other two formats, helping a child learn the letters in various iterations. And by contrast, those who typed or traced, they had no such improvement. And Dr. James said that, quote, "This is one of the first demonstrations of the brain being changed because of that practice." Dr. James' later studies suggest that the actual effort of physical forming the letters engages the brain's motor pathways and delivers the learning benefits of handwriting. So in addition to Dr. James's discoveries, I'll also talk about psychologist Mueller of Princeton and Oppenheimer of UCLA to support the theory that handwriting enhances learning. Mueller and Oppenheimer have both reported that in lab and classroom settings, students learn way better, and I'm sure you've heard this, way better by taking handwritten notes as opposed to typing notes. And this is because handwriting forces you to process the lecture and also reframe it, and this process of reflection and manipulation can lead to better understanding and working memory. Yale psychologist Paul Bloom explains with handwriting, the very act of putting it down forces you to focus on what's important. So now that we've understood the benefits of handwriting basically, now I'll go on to cursive handwriting specifically. How many of y'all had to write in cursive in middle school for elementary? Everyone, right? I think it's a new thing. My mom's a 5th grade teacher, and she just rants and rails at the number of people who don't make their students learn cursive anymore. At the University of British Columbia, Dr. Barton ties cursive handwriting to emotional circuitry. His studies show a connection between perception and decoding words for their meaning and interpreting the style of writing rather than just the word itself. And cursive writing activates the memory trace and fans it out, setting off other sensory memories, and allows these two functions to interact more adequately. Dr. Berninger, through the Washington University, conducted a study that shows children through grades 2 through 5 looked at the differences between printing, cursive, and typing. And it showed that those who hand wrote consistently produced words more quickly and expressed ideas more adequately, and those who wrote cursive were even more successful. So they had increased overall brain activation and reading and wiring networks, and cursive handwriters exhibited the most brain activation. Dr. Norman Deutsch is a psychiatrist and neuroplasticity expert who conducted cursive writing research that indicates that interconnectivity of cursive writing is, quote, more demanding on the part of the brain that converts symbol sequences into motor movements. So in other words, you get more fine motor skills when you do cursive writing. And Andrea Golding of Toronto Star argues that cursive provides, again, more motor control for students, and it can be a building block for further studies. And lastly, cursive writing and learning disorders. This is the part that I found most interesting. So PBS cites some new research that shows that dyslexia is caused by a functional disconnection in communication between auditory and learning centers of the brain, and writing in cursive can connect those two centers of the brain more adequately, which decreases the effect of dyslexia on students. Similarly, kids Dr. Berninger's research showed that with dysgraphia, so dysgraphia is an inability to transfer once in your brain onto paper, and it can you're either born with it, or it can happen to you after you get a brain injury. And so it showed that students who got dysgraphia from a brain injury could no longer write in print, but they could still write in cursive, and they could still read cursive, which is very interesting. So I think it's obviously beneficial to teach both cursive and printing, just in case a brain injury or a learning disability develops later on in life. Additionally, those with alexia show similar distinctions between print and cursive writing, as alexia cannot process print, but they can process cursive and read cursive. So those are three different learning disabilities that cannot process or function with print, but they can with cursive. So in conclusion, between Drs. Behringer, Barton, and James, Princeton's Mueller, and UCL's Oppenheimer, expert Dr. Burge, and the Toronto Star, New York Times, and PBS, and USA Today, I believe the evidence is very suggestive that cursive writing and handwriting is extremely beneficial to students today. And I think that the 41 states who don't require it, and the 41% of teachers who don't require it, should really reevaluate their curriculum and adjust to what really is best for the students in the long run. Thank you all so much for listening.